All right, welcome back to Veteran Perspectives. This is going to be the second episode, and today we're going to talk about a topic that won't ruffle any feathers or anything like that. We're going to talk about the Department of Education at the federal level that I wrote a blog about a month ago, right before it got shut down, where I advocated for it to get shut down. So we're gonna break that down. Uh, why I mostly agree with the decision and what I expect from the states, and how this could end up being, or how it should end up being, a good thing for students, because that's what this is all about: is students, and for teachers, and how we could hold leaders accountable. But first, our sponsor. Our sponsor is me. Well, me and my wife. It's our Etsy store. I'm going to leave a link in the description of this podcast to our mailing list for our Etsy store. You will sign up for that mailing list if you choose to, and you'll get a 25% off coupon code for your first order. To our Etsy store, which is jkprincegifts.etsy.com. But if you sign up for our mailing list, you get a coupon for 25% off your first order. And if you're on the mailing list, you will get updates when we have new products, sales, things like that, and updates to the store. It's pretty cool. It's free to sign up for the mailing list. You could unsubscribe at any time. We don't send spam or anything like that. So yeah, I encourage you guys to do so. Plus, you get a sweet coupon. So we're the sponsor today. So I encourage you guys to do that, and thank you very much, those of you that choose to do so. I'll leave a link in the description of the podcast, regardless of what platform you are listening on or watching on, because I am posting these on on my YouTube channel. In video form as well. All right, let's get to it. So, the Federal Department of Education is in the process of being shut down. Before that happened, I wrote a blog that I posted everywhere else, and I have posted it on Beehive. By the time this podcast is released, it will have been published on Beehive. Okay. As well. This obviously it stirs up emotion because we see, oh, the Department of Education is being shut down. Trump hates kids, yada yada yada. Right? It turns into an emotional argument. But let me be very clear about my stance. I have always believed, and if you know me, you probably already know this about me. The Federal Department of Education was always a constitutional overreach. It's an unconstitutional act that violated the 10th Amendment, period. The 10th Amendment states that if a power is not given directly to the federal government, then it falls to the states. Nowhere in the Constitution does the power of education be given to the federal government at all. Now, some people could argue, and I understand the argument, that the general welfare includes education. Okay, that's a fair argument. But the words specifically, education, which existed when the Constitution was written, right, was not given to the federal government. Therefore, it falls directly to the states. Now, to be clear, the Federal Department of Education made no gains during its existence at all. Started in 1979. Okay. It was part of Jimmy Carter's, it was part of one of his campaign promises to the National Education Association, the NEA, which I used to be a member of. I'm not anymore. And it was established with the promise of improving educational outcomes, improving reading, writing, and mathematical scores, which it did not do. at all. Under any measurable statistic, it did not improve those standards. It failed, right? And it turned into a money grab. Okay? As of 2023, the budget of the DOE was about $79 billion. I think it was like $78.4 billion. And those outcomes of reading, writing, and math had either stagnated or declined. Okay? So consider the following. Okay? Standardized testing, which I hate and loathe and find to be pointless. Since the DOE had created, had either stagnated or declined. 9-year-old students, so third grade, okay, which for those of you that don't know, third grade is the big marker, okay, for reading, writing, and math. Okay, reading and math especially, but in most states, third grade is a big marker year. A lot of things, like for example, here in Arizona, it's the 1 year where schools can recommend students are held back. It's a marker year. There's a term for it, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a year where schools can recommend. They cannot force students being held back, but they can heavily recommend, depending on scores, if a student is held back. It's different rules in different states as far as how that is done. But it is a huge marker year based off of brain development and where a student should be with reading, writing, and mathematics, and here in Arizona at least, with the spoken word as well. So for those of you who don't know, there you go. 9-year-old students' reading, writing, and math scores declined nationwide between 2012 and 2022. And so we'll say, but COVID. Stop blaming COVID for everything. Stop it. Education started doing that. They used it as a crutch and an excuse for everything as soon as COVID happened. Stop doing it. Stop it. COVID did not cause the decline of education. It was happening well before it happened. Stop it. Okay? The problem with this decline during 2012, 2022, that 10-year period, there was record spending on federal education. So we threw money at the problem and it didn't work. Okay? There's an achievement gap between wealthy and low-income students remains extremely wide. Okay? Now, wealthy and low-income students, that gap, it's not necessarily individual students, it's neighborhoods. Okay? There are federal interventions. Title I schools have different funding sometimes, not all the time. Title I schools are generally lower socioeconomic schools, generally, not always. And they are intended to get more funding to go to different programs, sometimes, not always. And Title I is federally funded, or was federally funded. But it didn't always go. As someone who worked in Title I schools, it didn't always go to the right pocketbooks. That's all I'll say about that. The United States ranks lower in education than many developed countries who are also our allies, despite us spending more per student than nearly any other nation. Okay, the Program for Student Assessment, PISA, the United States ranks 25th in math, 13th in reading, 18th in science in 2022, behind countries like China, Finland, and our neighbors to the north in Canada. Now, why is that? Why is that? Now, the United States is the most diverse country in the world. Okay, you can talk about all our problems all you want. That statement is a fact. We are the most diverse country in the world. We allow our students the most freedom within the school institution than anywhere in the world. The choices our students have within school are more wide than any other country in the world. China ranks high because their students are forced to rank high. You rank high or you're gone. Period. We all know that. Right? Now, Finland and Canada, democracies, relatively speaking. Okay? Canada still prints a monarch on their money, so I don't want to hear about their democracy. So, yeah. So the United States has a ranking problem, and we love rankings in the United States, don't we? Right? We love them. So why are we ranked low? Right? Some people will blame the border crisis. Okay, fair. Right? Because the border crisis disproportionately impacts border states, but we know that immigrants move. Right? They don't stay in border states, they move. Some people are like, oh, yeah, well, can immigrants take up resources? Okay. I thought we were the city upon a hill, right? People immigrate here legally that take resources. Okay. We still educate children regardless of their legal status. Schools don't ask. It's not even on the application. We simply educate. We're not turning away children. It's not going to happen. That will impact rankings, especially in reading and writing, because it's all done in English. Okay. So, okay. Those could be explained away, right? Rankings are odd for that sort of thing. Ranking children and then saying that children are special beings, right, is odd to me. But again, standardized testing, right? You could take 200 children from a country where everyone is relatively the same in a regimented country, and then 200 children from the United States that are relatively different, treated differently, allowed to do things in a relatively free way. Yeah, they're going to score differently. Some better, some worse. I don't see the problem with that. Rankings don't determine the student or their ability. Regardless, the DOE has failed to deliver on its promises. I would argue if it were a private company, it would have gone bankrupt decades ago, but I could say the same thing about the entire federal government. We just don't take away their paycheck. 10th Amendment and the unconstitutionality of it, I've already discussed this. Simply, the power of education is not under the purview of the federal government. Period. Hands down, period. Education should not be a one-size-fits-all. The needs of education, for example, here in Arizona, are not the same as the needs of education, say, in Delaware. Okay? Now, should there be a basic standard? Yeah, for things like U.S. history. For things like basic functions of government, right? Should we have a national standard for things like that? Yeah. Maybe a mathematical national standard? I'm fine with that. Right? But you know who should make it? Teachers. Not fucking politicians. Get politicians out of fucking education. That includes at the state level. Boards of education ruin education. Because guess what? They're elected. People are like, oh my God, but there's teachers on boards. I don't give a shit. They run for personal gain. They ruin education. Get a bunch of teachers in a room. Look, if you get 2 teachers from each state, you get 100 teachers in a room. I bet you in a month, you'll have national standards for every subject. right? Get 2 teachers from each subject, from each grade level, from all 50 states. Give them a month. They'll bang out standards for every goddamn subject. Every single one, including your electives. Period. Pay them to do it. Pay them to do it. Find a way to pay them to do it. You want to spend $79 billion on a Department of Education and you didn't even do that? Fuck off. Fuck off. You want to play games? You didn't even do that? Right, but you have your special little standardized testing. You paid Pearson a bunch of money to make these fucking standardized tests, but you didn't pay teachers. Again, fuck off. I have no sympathy for that shit. None. Zero sympathy for it. It's nothing but bureaucracy and red tape. Teachers fill out nothing but paperwork. There was a 2019 survey done by the American Federation of Teachers, okay? Teachers reported on average doing 11 hours of paperwork per week related to federal mandates. That's fucking crazy. 11 hours a week. Now, that probably had to do with IEPs, okay? Special education paperwork, okay? It creates administration work. Okay? Teachers turn into secretaries. There's nothing wrong with secretaries or administrative assistants. I know we're getting away from the word secretary. I apologize. Okay? Teachers turn in to paperwork doers instead of education doers. Let's say it that way. That's fucking wild. Stop that. Stop it. How about the paperwork they do should be improving standards, making standards accessible, right? Go ask a teacher today or next school year, hey, are you going to get through all of your standards this year in a timely manner? The answer will be no. I can guarantee you right now that if I email one of my kids' teachers, and if they were honest with me, they will not get through all their standards this year. Because it is impossible. Impossible without having to cut corners. Pick 2 teachers per state for every grade level, for every subject, put them in a fucking room for a month, pay them, feed them good food, not shitty food, by the way. And they'll bang out standards for you. I guarantee it. Shit, they'll probably write fucking lesson plans for you too. It's nothing but bureaucracy. That bureaucracy, standardized testing is involved in it. High stakes testing is worthless. It's absolutely worthless. You know why? Because your teachers will teach to the test instead of to the standard. It becomes about the test instead of about the learning. We can assess in a variety of ways. There's formal assessment. There's informal assessment. You can assess through project-based learning, right? Which is huge right now. Some asshole made a bunch of money by making an acronym, PBL, right? Who's making way more money than me because I'm not making any money unless you guys buy stuff from my Etsy store, which you will do. Okay? There are multitudes of ways to assess students. But some asshole said, let's do standardized testing. Assess everyone the same, but then tell teachers to individually accommodate students. Who the fuck? Who the fuck thought that was a good idea? It wasn't a teacher. Shit, it wasn't even a principal. And we all know how Jeff feels about principals. They're fucking crazy. Just kidding. I know some really good principals. Stress on students and teachers. We all know that stress at the K through 12 level, and a little bit of stress is okay. Okay, a little bit of stress is okay. Performing under pressure, it's okay. All right? But there's a line. Okay, there's a line. There is zero need for a third grader to have undue stress about a standardized test. Zero. Zero. What does that accomplish? What does that accomplish? Schools are being punished rather than supported. What is the one thing, parents, I'm talking to you now because you guys know I'll call you out too. And as a parent myself, yeah, I feel the need to do so. If you're ever looking to switch schools, what is probably in the top 3 things you look at in a school that you're considering putting your child in? Think about that for a second. Top 3 things. And I'll give you the answer because it's a podcast. But think about it. You're probably yelling at your podcast right now. Telling me to fuck off, probably. It's the letter grade. The answer is the letter grade of the school. You know what contributes the most to that letter grade? Standardized testing. So if kids that do not go there anymore because kids move on contribute to standardized testing, students that are still there who also contributed are punished. It's wild. It's wild. Let me give you an example. 2013, New York, okay, one of the biggest union states in the union, okay, in the country, okay, 20% of students opted out of standardized testing due to parent and teacher backlash. They said, no, we're not fucking taking it. The federal government, instead of saying, hey, this is a problem, maybe this is on us, said, we're going to withhold funding if participation dropped below a certain threshold. So the local school districts said, we don't think this is good. We don't want to do this. We're opting out. We're not taking it. And the federal government, instead of saying, okay, they don't want to do this, maybe we should rethink this, they exerted federal control over education and said, fuck you, you're going to do it, or we're going to take money away. We're going to take money away from kids if you don't take our special little test. Fuck off. Fuck off. Crazy. That's crazy behavior. It's honestly wild. Lack of local control. Local schools and parents know what their children need better than Washington, D.C. bureaucrats, better than the Department of Education, better than Congress. Okay? Yet school boards, parents, and schools themselves allow the federal government, the Department of Education, to dictate policies, to force schools to comply with federal mandates. School districts could have always said no to standardized testing at the federal level. They could have said, no, we're not fucking doing that. But what would have been taken away, everyone? Say it with me. Money. Money. School districts could have said, no, we're not doing that. We're going to do this test instead. Or we're not going to do testing at all. We're going to try something different. We're going to step outside the box. Like most principals tell their teachers to do, which is a lie. They don't want them to step outside the box. They want them to conform. It's a buzzword, like self-care, right, teachers? Oh, we want you to practice self-care, but don't take a day off. They could have said no, but they didn't because it's a carrot and stick approach. Oh, here's that money. Oh. You had too many students opt out. Can't have it. Can't have it. So how do we fix this? To me, the first step has already been accomplished. The DOE is being dissolved for now-ish. I think the issue with it is government's gonna government. It's kind of outside of the public eye. It became an emotional response when the DOE was shut down because education's always emotional to the public. Because because it's seen as taking away from education, even though we shut down something that's not working. And then other things happen and it removes itself from the national spotlight. That's just politics as normal. Local schools, school districts, boards, which should probably be dissolved next. Yeah, I'm coming for you too. And parents know what their children need better than Washington bureaucrats. We must advocate for this, for the Department of Education's delusion. It must continue. It must. Do not try to bring it back. It's going to cost more money. That's pointless. That money should be allocated elsewhere. Okay. We must engage with our schools, including our school boards. I think we're starting to see that a little bit more. Attending meetings, reading meeting minutes, voting. Imagine voting being a good thing. Pushing for policies that prioritize students over bureaucracy. Students must come first. Demand school choice. I am an advocate for school choice. Your students should be able to go to school wherever you want them to go, parents. That includes homeschooling. Okay, that includes homeschooling. We must support initiatives that allow parents to choose the best educational option for children. Your area code, your zip code, should not determine your educational options at all. Charter schools, do your research. Do your research. There's some good, some bad. Same with public schools. There's some good, some bad. Okay, do your research. Homeschooling and private schools, should you have the means to attend a private school. Hold your states accountable. Guess what? Your state has a Department of Education too. Hold them accountable. Make sure your state is transparent about how those funds are spent on education. Make them tell you. Okay? Make sure that money is going to classrooms. If you walk into a district office and there's fancy leather chairs and mahogany desks and giant big screen TVs, call them out. Call them out. And then you walk into your child's classroom and students don't have enough desks, call them out. Because that's bullshit. If your child's teacher has to send home a supply list, but the district office is fancy and wonderful, call them out. Because that's bullshit. Education doesn't belong to the government. It belongs to we the people. It doesn't belong to bureaucrats. We have to be the ones to take it back. Okay? It is our responsibility to educate our children. It is not the government's responsibility to educate our children. Okay, we have to stop relying on our government to do those things. The reliance on government has to stop. Because if we allow it to continue, they don't govern us, they rule us. I don't want to be ruled, mostly because these people in government are a bunch of assholes. So. All right, that is this veteran's perspective on the Department of Education. This is part 1 of this particular mini-series. There are 3 parts to this, okay? We're actually going to go down in level. So next, this was kind of the overview, federal level a little bit, and then we talked about the rest briefly. Next, we will go into states a little bit. And then after that, we will go into school boards, and then schools themselves, principals, teachers. Don't worry, you will not escape my wrath. I used to be one of you. I still am a teacher at heart. And parents, don't worry, I'm coming for you too, because I am one of you as well, because we have to be held accountable as well. So this is one of three, okay? There is a blog that accompanies this. I will link it as well if you wish to read my thoughts as well. And I will link the sponsor to the mailing list for the Etsy store. Get yourself 25% off, get a gift for yourself or a loved one, and let me know what you think down in the comments. Thanks, guys.